And more importantly, how long before Mr. Vijay Mallya is brought to book, because it has taken several years before the authorities even sat up and took notice of the mess he has created, not just with the company, but of the thousands of employees whom he simply strung along. Joining us on the first debate tonight is Vijay Kantawala, senior lawyer. He's live with us from Mumbai. C. Rajashekaran, advocate of the Madras High Court, is with us from Chennai. Harish Bijur, strategy, marketing and branding consultant, with us from Bangalore. Parag Tripathi, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, is with us from Delhi. And more importantly, the people who are really the faces of this tragedy. We have Captain Khalid, former employee of Kingfisher Airlines, here with us in our Delhi studio. Neetu Shukla is joining us from Mumbai, and M.R. Venkatesh, who's a chartered accountant and policy analyst, also with us in our studio. His statement, in fact, speaks about how there's this shrill campaign being carried out against him when he has done everything possible to ensure that everyone recovers their money. Then Mr. Vijay Kantawala, if this gentleman had absolutely no money, what explains the fact that he had plenty of cash, not just to buy the Caribbean Premier League, but also hosting the equestrian derby, in which prizes of 2.17 crore rupees were given out, and it was beautifully described in a newspaper as an event, a glamorous one, that saw the city's creme de la creme dressed impeccably in classic derby wear, having a great time on the lush green turf. The crowd was seen enjoying themselves at the photo booth, capturing memories of the sunny afternoon. Because it's only 1,500 people who haven't been paid, Mr. Kantawala, for the last 2 years at the very least. What explains the arrogance of this gentleman who says he's not a defaulter, he's done absolutely nothing wrong, it's just that he ran out of luck and cash?
Look, I've always said that due process has to be followed, and that has been done. I'm so happy that this amount has been frozen. This 700 crores has been frozen by a court order. The ED has now registered a case and they are contemplating taking further action. So therefore, due process is what I have been saying from day one. Please follow the due process, and the enforcement agencies who are responsible to make out their cases and prove. The prosecution, the onus is on the prosecution to prove. The prosecution has to do his
Captain
Khalid wants to come in because the action's happening now. But what explains his behavior for the last 2-3 years? Yes, Captain Khalid.
Okay, I was employed with Kingfisher Airlines on Airbus 340 as transition captain. I was told to spend 20 lakhs of mine to go on for training. I went for the training. When I came back, they said, there is no Airbus 340. Your money is gone. And thereafter, I asked for my money. They said, we cannot give you back. I went into the due process. I believe you are a lawyer, sir. I fought for 3 years. I went to Bombay, from Delhi to Bombay, nothing less than 30 times. And I got a court order, an arbitration order, telling that refund the money with interest and compensate for my expenses. Forget compensation. I haven't got a single penny.
Because Mr. Kantawala, this gentleman has taken the law for a ride, and yet you continue to say, M.R. Venkatesh, that the law should take its course. He's given them a merry dance.
Absolutely. After 5 years, I'm really appalled that the banks have come about and said there is a case of willful default. I think this is really atrocious. I think we must understand he is a Rajya Sabha member, and it would not have happened in any other case but for the fact that he is a lawmaker. And that is why he could get with impunity breaking the law. So there is no due process of law, Mr. Kantawala. The due process of law was punctured. It doesn't exist because he was, let us be very clear, that he was a Rajya Sabha member. And it has taken 5 years for the bankers to say he is a willful defaulter. When you and me, if we are not paying 3 months of EMI consecutively, we will be declared NPA, and immediately banks will come, start beginning to
and he knew it, Harish Bijou. He knew it. He knew that he could play the system, which is why he continued with this kind of extravagance.
And that he being a Rajya Sabha member
knowing
helped
that
him a
people
lot.
were suffering. Harish Bijou.
That he was a Rajya Sabha member helped him a lot in this whole transaction. Let us be very clear.
In this entire issue, there are big issues, there are small issues, and there are fair issues and unfair issues. As far as I'm concerned, the biggest unfair issue is with employees. every employee who hasn't been paid for a period of time. I think that's the biggest sin out here. I'm really not so sympathetic with the banks, because the key question I ask is, why did they lend? On what collateral? On what basis?
No,
and
we
what
will come to that.
I'm not even sympathetic to the shareholders.
And to be fair, questions must be asked of the banks, and we will do that later. How were these banks even doling out so much money in loans to a company which did not have a proven track record? So we are going to come to the banks in just a minute. But I think Neetu wants to come in. Because the whole question here, like you said, Harish Bijur, is that of the employees who were not paid for years, while this man can go and shell out $2 million last month in the Caribbean, and that's not including the player fees, that's just the franchise fee. If there is no cash, how is he buying teams in the Caribbean Premier League? Neetu, you want to come in on this?
Thank you very much. If we are talking about the employees, I think I can tell you what the employees have gone through. We are talking of loaders who earned as little as 6,000 rupees who were not paid their money. I can tell you pitiful stories of people who've come from small towns in the northeast who had to survive on a 5 rupee packet of Maggie. There was this one particular girl who had already lost her father, and 3 months after coming to Bombay, she lost her mother. She had no siblings. She had no backup. She had nothing. And on top of that, she did not get a salary. We are talking of people like that. Not only is my tax money at a loss here, because even my tax money was defrauded through the bank loans, but I was not even given my earnings. So if people are crying about their tax money, can you please consider the plight of the employees who've not been paid a salary? There are people who've sold their jewelry, their houses, their cars just to sustain themselves.
It's not like Mr.
And
Mallya
in India, it is not possible to get a job after a certain age.
Despite that, do you think that it could not weigh heavy on someone's conscience that he actually, in the midst of this mess that he's created, celebrates his 60th birthday in a luxury villa in December last year, where he has a guest list of 600 people and is having entertainers flown in, Mr. Rajashekharan, and yet we're supposed to believe that he's an upstanding citizen?
And may I please add, Padmaja, this from a man who keeps a photograph of Balaji in every cockpit, takes every aircraft to Tirupati to get blessed, and while he doesn't pay us a salary, he gives an 82 lakh rupee door to a temple in the south. So this man has the audacity, after pretending to be a godly person, the employees have gone through.
As an employee or the person who has suffered, I'm not really bothered what he does in his party, what he does with the bank, what he does with any. I need my money back. Who is going to give it? Put him in jail. It doesn't help me. Justice is not given. My 30 lakh rupees doesn't come.
Yes, Mr. Rajashekharan, answer all of these questions.
We want our money back. What is the due process of law? Law is incompetent in this case to get my money back. You put him in jail, will government give my money back? There is no due process of law. When my money has been swindled in daylight, what is the due process of law? Put him in jail, shoot him. But will government give my money back? It was a failure of government. Government did not regulate the business of Kingfisher Airlines the way they should have done.
We are talking of
and because these platitudes about
their money
law taking its course are really not going to work anymore, Mr. Rajashekharan.
Rupees a month, they do not even have the capacity to go to court to file a case. So for people who don't have the money to go and fight a case, or for people who don't have the money to follow up, do you think that they don't
answer these people, Mr. Rajashekharan? Let him answer. Let him answer.
I have gone that route.
Answer these people, Mr. Rajashekharan.
And I have got an award. Still no money is there. Now I am supposed to go to High Court, and then I am supposed to go to Supreme Court. This is all I will end up doing. At the end of it, I would have paid 10 lakh rupees more to the lawyers. Still no money.
And before we know, it's 20 years down the line.
There is no process.
Yes, Mr. Rajashekharan.
Tell me, what is the due process of law to get my money back, Mr. Rajashekharan? You are on the
Vijay
air. Tell
me. Did not. See, I'll tell you.
What is the due process of getting my money back and all our employees' money back?
On the media debate, you
yes. Tell me, what is the due process?
No. Just
no. If you were fighting his case, would you fight his case without getting money?
Kingfisher Airlines as the captain.
Yeah, I was working. Yes.
No. You have been working under Kingfisher Airlines as the captain, Mr. Khalid. Yes, you did not.
Yes.
You see, you are getting your salary on time when the airline industry was flourishing and the brand Kingfisher was growing, and you appreciated Dr. Mallya for being an enormous businessman doing a wonderful business.
Grateful to Dr.
You people were after him, and see, he never. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Sorry.
You have raised so many questions. Let me finish. You cannot tackle me. You cannot tackle me. Allow me to finish.
Mr. Mallya was not doing charity, neither was Mr. Khalid doing any charity.
Exactly. That's not a charity because you got your salary. You need to keep
salary.
He hired people. He had to pay them salaries. Why should anyone have to be thankful because they got their salaries for years?
The employees are the first charge, sir. The employees are the first charge.
Airline, crash.
What?
Vijay Mallya had a
for the moment.
So many airline industry. Allow me to speak. Don't allow me to speak.
You speak sense. You speak sense. I will allow you to speak. Don't give any crap here. Don't think this is some. Don't filibuster here. You speak some sense. I will allow you to speak.
Can we please have a civil conversation because I understand what you are talking about.
5 years. What has he done?
And with no money involved, your team.
What do you know? Have you done a business?
You are nonsense.
Do you know how business works?
Sir, I am running my business, sir. First, yes, I run a business. Please understand. I give the salaries to the employees before I take my salary.
Mr. Venkatesh, just a second.
He has made his fortune.
What are you trying to say? Don't defend the indefensible.
Just a second. Mr. Venkatesh,
What do you mean by you and me? I am honest.
What are you? Have you got experience in doing business? Have you got any experience?
Sir, I have got experience in honesty.
You have done any 100
Not like you and your...
What business you have to talk about?
Don't...
No,
One second.
Don't be an idiot. Don't personal.
If you don't talk about business, do you know about doing business?
If you're going to talk about business, then let's also talk about this large empire, right? You're talking about this. Okay, Mr. Rajashekharan, please listen up. Listen up. You're talking about a huge empire. Look at his list of properties. Look at his list of properties. He owns an island in Monte Carlo. Why isn't he selling that off to pay off his debt?
What has he pledged?
Not to run away.
What exactly? What has he pledged?
He will not run away.
So?
That is the issue. That is the issue. It is because he is a Rajya Sabha MP, the law is not taking his due course. And it is people like you who are supporting. Actually, you must be booked under.
One second, Captain Khalid wants to come in.
You must be booked under.
One second, sir. Captain Khalid.
For supporting this type of people.
Don't teach him what to do. Don't teach him.
I don't have to teach.
Very clear.
Don't teach honesty to me also, Rajshekar. Don't teach honesty to me. People like you are supporting such people, and that is what is the most dangerous part.
What to do? He is the most.
I don't have to teach. You don't have to teach me.
He has landed up in trouble.
What are you basing this statement on?
What is
What is a successful businessman? Is a successful businessman someone who goes around acquiring properties all around the world and not paying his employees? Is that your definition of a successful businessman?
Can I present my case?
Just a second.
What investment you can buy? If I'm a Rajya Sabha MP, give me 5,000 crores, I also run an MP.
Mr. Rajashekharan, please stop yelling. Please stop yelling, Mr. Rajashekharan. Let's set one thing straight over here.
What has invested, sir? He has taken money from the banks.
Mr. Venkatesh,
What has
just a second.
taken money from the banks?
Mr. Venkatesh, just a second. Mr. Rajashekharan, to start with this appalling
It is not the business laws. He has laundered money. Answer that. He has taken money. That is the charge today. He is a willful defaulter. Please understand that. He is a willful defaulter.
Mr. Rajashekharan, I think it's
Please understand the law. If you don't know the law, don't come. I don't know your law.
By Neetu and Captain Khalid. Can we please have Neetu and Captain Khalid speak? It's ridiculous the kind of justification you've given.
Who is a businessman?
Captain Khalid, you go first, then Neetu. Captain Khalid.
Let me make it very clear.
Stop nonsense.
Let me make it very clear that all the employees of Kingfisher Airlines, all the employees of Kingfisher Airlines and all those people.
1 minute he says he will pay the money. When will he pay the money?
Oh, that is good enough. I do not.
Rajshekar, tell me now. You said he will pay the money. You tell me now. When will he pay the money? Now tell me. Tell me. You
said he will pay the money. Now tell me when he will pay the money.
That is all
Actually, no, one second, gentlemen. Gentlemen, even as per Vijay Mallya's own statement, one second, yeah, as per his own statement, there doesn't seem to be any clear intention of paying back the entire amount. In fact, let me read off his statement. He's talked about the fact that after the closure of the airline since 2013, the banks and their assignees have recovered in cash an aggregate of 1,244 crores from sale of pledged share. What is 1,200 crores when your debt is more than 7,000 crores? He's essentially saying in his statement that you managed to recover 1,200 crores, so you should be happy and let me go.
Ma'am, out of this 1,200 crores, what came for the employees?
Tina, please do not forget the
banks will attach the property, they will take their money back.
Interest component on the 7,000 crores.
He did not make the fortunes from the bank loan. That is what I want to emphasize here. He did not make his fortunes from just a mere bank loan. Because he has lost the business. It doesn't mean he has run away.
Can we please allow Captain Khalid and lawyers to come in? Gentlemen, let the employees talk. Let Captain Khalid first and then Neetu, we're coming to you in just a minute. We're coming to you, yes. Okay, we need to be able to hear Captain Khalid. Please, gentlemen, allow others to speak. I'm going to come to Neetu after that. Yes, Captain.
Okay. The thing is,
Mr. Rajshekharan, please have the courtesy to allow others to speak.
Ex-employees of Kingfisher
If there are
Airlines
lawyers on your panel,
are really indebted to Dr. Vijay Mallya for having floated a company like Kingfisher Airlines. Good.
No.
You would be the last person to want it. 1 minute, let me complete. I am speaking what you are speaking.
Vijay Mallya did do me a favor by floating the airline.
I understand that.
You are happy with
what I'm saying is
he's coming to that, but we must allow him to complete the point he's making.
The last person to say that Dr. Vijay Mallya should go to jail.
You got everything.
What we would like is our money to come back. And if God forbid, if he does go to jail, my money is gone.
I got paid for my services.
But you enjoyed
I got paid for my services and I got paid for nothing else. I was recruited for my services. I was paid according to what
people, there were employees whose spouses were forced to commit suicide. They were not having a good time. There are people who have killed themselves because they could not make ends meet after their salary stopped coming in. So please don't trivialize this. Yes, Neetu.
And sir, please, I don't know how you recruit people with your companies, if you do run a company, but the fact remains that if a person is with a company, they get paid for the services they offer. Nobody does anybody a favor. Neither do I do a favor to my employer by working for him. Neither does an employer do a favor by starting a particular company. Everybody here is in a quid pro quo relation where somebody is getting something out of what is delivered.
Yes, agreed.
So please do not make it look like when there were good times, we were doing a very... So please, let's leave the part about the good times and the bad times aside. Even if times were bad, the first right to the receivables is of the employees. Yes. I don't know if there are any lawyers on the panel, but if anybody could please enlighten me about the law of the land. Does it state that if the money comes in, does it belong to the employees or does it belong to the creditors first? Because as far as I feel, it's the money that should first come to people who worked for it.
There is a system.
Please let me know what the law of the land is.
The money should be recovered from him. I think that is step one in this entire battle. But again, I would like to bring in Parag Tripathi now. Parag Tripathi is the entire argument being given right now.
The due process
Mr. Rajshekharan, just a second. Mr. Rajshekharan, Captain Khalid, just a second. I want to bring in Parag Tripathi because he hasn't spoken so far. Parag Tripathi, the entire argument seems silly. That Mr. Mallya simply does not have the money. He's trying his best. Because at the time that the State Bank of India was auctioning one of his properties to recover the 6,963 crore rupees that Kingfisher Airlines owes to the bank, Vijay Mallya was hiring players for one of the 6 Caribbean Premier Leagues. What's worse is that the team he acquired cost him $2 million as mere franchise fee, sir. So how, Mr. Tripathi, are we supposed to believe Mr. Mallya when he says that I'm doing everything possible, I simply do not have the money? He is just trying to pull the wool over people's eyes.
So if he makes money in some other business and brings back the money and gives it to employees, we are happy.
To believe, if you don't mind, sir, this looks a little difficult to believe. I think... see, long ago, Justice Holmes had said that every idea is an incitement. So we have had quite a few ideas thrown in today. But broadly, and therefore incitements. But broadly, I think there are 3 or 4 major issues here. One is the terrible plight of the Kingfisher employees, which is an aspect which requires a debate, which is terrible. The second is the persona of the gentleman and the impression people get that he is flaunting wealth, and yet when it comes to clearing his dues, he doesn't do it. Now that's an important perception which has to be dealt with. The third aspect is the role of the banks, because the rule in banking is that you lend money against assets. You don't lend money against liabilities. But that's what the banks seem to have done here. And the fourth issue is, now that this has all happened, what is the legal implications and the legal way forward? Coming to the specific query you asked me, I agree with you that if a person, and I am proceeding on the basis that Mr. Mallya is a personal guarantor of the loans of Kingfisher, because otherwise it will lead to other legal issues of some nicety. There is an answer which is required as to how he is able to buy and spend huge sums of money as a guarantor through his various companies when he is unable to repay even a significant portion of the loans which are due to him. I agree with you. And that's an answer which has to come from him.
So then, Sujay Kantawala, what do we make of the process of law here? Because despite the law being put into force, this was allowed to happen, Mr. Kantawala.
So therefore, a lot of questions are there. As Mr. Tripathi rightly said, that on what basis did the banks give the loans? And you need to also call sometimes some bank officers who were responsible executives during the relevant period who kept on giving loans. In fact, the CBI special director, director CBI.
No, I see what you've done here, but Mr. Kantawala, we will talk about the banks in just a bit. What my specific question here was that he decided to play the system and got away with it, trying to make everyone believe that he does not have the money when he actually did. Going all of these and making these expensive purchases, having these extravagant parties, these extravagant expenditures, when he chose to.
See, as a lawyer,
that was my question. It was about Mr. Mallya.
As a lawyer, having trained in the law, I will always follow what the law says. And so my answer is going to be of a lawyer. I am not a patron saint acting on behalf of Vijay Mallya here. My answer is simple. Due process, if it is followed, and if there is recovery, good. If there is no recovery, then I'm sorry. But you have to follow the due process. I'm sorry for the employees who have not got their money.
But here is a clear case of no recovery,
you have to follow due process.
Here is a clear case of no recovery.
The process has to be followed. That's my answer.
Yeah, but I think the point here that Captain Khalid is trying to make, just how long the rope is going to be given to Vijay Mallya. It's been years already, and there has been no recovery or very, very minimal recovery, and that is the bottom line. M.R. Venkatesh, I also want to come to you on a point that was made just now. Look at his persona. He's a Raj Sabha MP. Of course, earlier Mr. Rajashekharan kept saying that, but that exactly is the problem. And it brings up this issue of crony capitalism, because how was it that he got these loans in the first place? Don't forget the fact that he was a consultant to the Civil Aviation Ministry at the time when he floated Kingfisher. There is massive conflict of interest and crony capitalism here, which is it's open for everyone to see.
Absolutely. So the role of the banks and of the finance ministry at that point in time definitely comes into sharp focus. Having said that, I must say that Mr. Mallya ran a successful liquor business. So probably that emboldened banks to give him loans. But having said that, 5,000, 8,000 crore rupee loan and no follow-up on a business model that was being recklessly carried out without proper governance, without proper checks and balances, and to that extent there is a charge today of willful default after 5 years is shocking, to say the least. And then you say, of course, Mr. Kantawala is right when he says the due process must be followed. But due process in this case has gone for a toss 6-7 years back. Here was a guy who came in a Rolls Royce for rescheduling his loans. Never ever has in the history of banking has somebody gone on a Rolls Royce and say that, look, I don't have money, so please bankers, please see to that my loan will be repaid at a later date. So I have come in a Rolls Royce and that Rolls Royce is waiting. Please reschedule the loan and I'm going back in my Rolls Royce.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back and buy some Caribbean and I'm going to shell out hundreds of thousands of
some yachts and yes.
And yet I'm going to say I have no cash.
And that was the most shocking part. That I thought was bad, not only bad optics, that was also a bad advertisement. Mr. Kantawala, let me put it straight to you. It was a bad advertisement for due process of law. There is no due process of law in this country for those of the high and the mighty, and that he was a Rajya Sabha member helped it. Let us accept it plain and simple.
No, let me
yes, go ahead, Mr. Kantawala.
Let me also add to what you're saying. See, sometimes what happens is due process is defeated by delay and by connivance of some persons. Now, in this case, I agree with what you're saying, that because of the delay that has happened, you see him rolling out in a Rolls Royce and Maybach and wearing those fancy studs. But the point that I'm making over here is this, that if there was a watchdog available to monitor as to how and on what basis these banks are giving out money and feeding his risk appetite, and what were the collaterals available, whether he has personally guaranteed some of his assets in order to secure or repay those loans, that had to be seen and monitored. Now, at the
if a man has indulged in a scam, don't blame the man.
That watchdog too will be
blame
purchased.
The absence
that
of a watchdog.
Watchdog will not bark. We have the SFIO, we have the CBI, we had the Finance Ministry, we had the RBI, we had the bank's internal audit, we had the statutory auditors, we had the Enforcement Directorate. Not a single dog barked.
But
Let us be very clear.
That is exactly what we're talking about. His arrogance and cockiness stem from the fact that he knew that he had it in his pocket.
Yes, and all of them were silent because of the fact that it was a Rajya Sabha member, plus of course the personality of Dr. Mallya.
Yes, Neetu, go ahead.
You know, the most audacious thing is that one of the personal guarantees that Mr. Mallya offered was his villa in Goa. Had the due process of law been followed in this case, the villa would have been impounded. But not only was the villa not impounded, he did not have any shame in holding his 60th birthday party at the villa and calling international artists to perform there.
So why don't you invite some of the people who invited those fancy parties? Let them answer the public.
To the core.
Let them answer the public today.
No, why should the guests to the party answer the public? The point that she's trying to make,
did they not have any sense?
Is that when you contrast employees with his very openly and arrogantly lavish lifestyle, then that's a very, very stark contrast. It has nothing to do with the guests who are being thrown in. It's not their problem, and it's not certainly not they who are
all the enforcement agencies.
And he continues to throw his lifestyle in everyone's face.
They can issue summons to him. They can bring him here. He can be brought here and questioned.
I think there are two issues here which are very important. One issue of great importance is that, all right, banks did what they did. But that will not absolve the manner in which the debtor in this case went about taking the debts. If I go to a bank asking for a debt as a guarantor, running a company, I have liabilities too. I can't say, well, you gave me a debt, so very good, because that debt is public money. Therefore, whereas what the banks did raises serious doubts, and that's a subject matter of a different debate, but that leaves this question unanswered, that how could I go asking for 3,000, 5,000, 8,000 crores? Now, these are important issues, and they can't be answered by saying, let's follow due process. In India, we do have due process. You have substantive due process, you have all the laws, you have procedural due process, because even this order was passed after hearing the counsel for Mallya.
Yes, Mr. Rajshekharan, would you like to answer that?
So therefore,
you should understand how the business works. Nobody starts a company to cheat and run away. Likewise, Mr. Vijay Mallya had invested all his money into the airline business. He wanted the business to flourish. He wanted all his employees to be happy. He made them happy. He thought that each and every employee should be given the right due in right time, and he was doing a wonderful business. Suddenly, there was a crash in the airline business, and it was a huge loss, irreparable loss. And of course, he repents, and he now also he says that he will definitely pay them with due process, and he is making some arrangements.
No, but Mr. Rajshekharan, that's the point. If he really wants to pay back his employees, how about not spending $2 million on a Caribbean league and in fact paying the employees? How about not throwing money in millions of dollars and crores and thousands of rupees in other various fields, in hosting top club events, in all these things? How about just paying the employees back first?
See, See, you would have heard of born with a golden spoon, born with a silver spoon. But he was born with a diamond platinum spoon.
With the bank,
what to do?
Where he's going to pay the bank.
He cannot go and spend his holiday in a hut.
He will not pay his employees. He's born with a diamond spoon in his mouth, so he's not bothered about his employees who are killing themselves
he did not
because
start
they're not getting
a fly-by-night company. He did not start a fly-by-night company.
Is it the employee's fault? Do they have to bear the brunt of the fact that he was born with a diamond spoon in his mouth? What does that mean?
He did a business.
Are we supposed to feel sorry for him because he was born with a diamond spoon in his mouth?
By everybody. We should appreciate him. Of course, he is now in trouble. He will come back. He will come back. He will pay the dues.
We should appreciate him exactly how Mr. Rajshekhar, by giving him a sweet deal and asking him to leave the country. Is that how we appreciate people like that?
Definitely he will pay. Definitely he will pay.
Mr. Rajshekhar, do you stand guarantee to the employees that he will pay?
We are all waiting for him to function.
Mr. Rajshekhar, will he stand guarantee that he will pay? Mr. Rajshekhar, are you standing guarantee for Dr. Mallya and saying that he will pay?
Come on, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous asking me to stand guarantee.
Then why are you saying that? Why are you warranting, sir? Why are you warranting?
Asking me to stand guarantee.
Why are you warranting?
The matter is pending.
Then why are you warranting?
What are your grounds to say that
why are you warranting? Why are you warranting? You made a ridiculous statement. That's why I had to point out the ridiculousness.
The airline shut in 2012.
He has been issuing the statement for the last 5 years. Why do you take it?
He stands guarantee.
That's the point.
Why himself stands guarantee? Definitely.
Okay, you don't stand guarantee. You have withdrawn your guarantee. So you keep quiet. We have seen that statement. You don't have to read it out. You don't have to read it out like a spokesperson for KFC.
Come on, nobody can stand guarantee for.
I think we are agreed on this.
Come on, Venkatesh, you're sounding funny here. Come on.
Nobody
what is this? Well, see, you first understand.
These are not sounding nonsense like you, sir.
It is not the court. It is not a court. It is a panel discussion on a TV channel. You are not the judge.
Let's throw in some ideas as well.
Yes, and that's why, sir, you must not quote diamond spoons because that holds no weight here whatsoever. Captain Khalid wants to come in, as does Parag Tripathi. Okay, let's allow them to speak now.
Then why are you giving guarantee, sir? Why are you giving guarantee and making a fool of yourself? Nobody asked you.
Nobody says that Mr. Mallya started Kingfisher Airlines to cheat people. Of course he did not. That is accepted. At least that's my view. The airlines went fought, as it were.
That's what I mean.
It faced bad weather and it went down the tune. That's also correct. The problem starts from there. The problem is that once you have a business which has gone down the drain, what is expected of you as a person who's running that business? What is expected of the regulatory bodies? That is the issue I think this panel is debating. Therefore, to say the man is not a cheat when he started the business, nobody is saying that. But
no, he does,
there is a
so
huge
many businesses and he does it very straight.
When your legitimate business goes down the drain, are you expected then to keep on asking for public money? Should you not also realize that this is a tragedy which has happened and maybe out of the monies you are receiving elsewhere, you should make some allowance for this tragedy which has taken place? So it is this which agitates people. And that is what
I agree. And Mr. Rajshekhar, let me also add. Let me also add to that, because you are so firm in your belief in Mr. Mallya, and you says he will come back. I guarantee he's going to pay it.
I'm sorry.
We also had this gentleman yesterday. Just hold a second, Mr. Rajshekhar. We had this gentleman yesterday who says in person he was met by Vijay Mallya, Dr. Vijay Mallya, 2 years ago, where he held this former captain's hand and said, listen, I know you have a family to support. I know we haven't been able to pay your salary for the last about 24 months. I assure you, we are going to give you all of your arrears. He didn't get a penny. So much of your confidence, sir, and it's exactly this kind of misplaced trust that has led these people down the garden path. Neetu.
Padmaja, not only did he say that holding the captain's hand, but he also wrote letters to us at a time when he should have personally come and spoken to us, because he was asking us for a favor to work for him for free. He did not have the decency to come and personally meet us and ask us for that favor. He sent us letters on letters giving us personal guarantees that he would pay us the money and that the airline would revive. And more than him, it was our dream, and that's why we stuck around trying to make Kingfisher what it was. So if Kingfisher reached where it did, it was only because of where the employees took it. In spite of...
So the way it strikes me, it should be the other way around. The gratitude should be the other way around, Mr. Rajshekhar.
But
for
the
these
man,
people to have
when he
continued
gives
to
his
work
statement
for a
yesterday,
man
does not even mention
who
us in
cheated
that
them and
statement.
continued to cheat them. Mr. Rajshekharan.
Padmaja,
Yeah, I didn't get you properly. Yeah, again, please.
Mr.
What is the question?
Rajshekar, a man's true character is revealed in tough times, not in good times. I'm afraid Mr. Mallya has revealed his character. Nobody reveals their character when times are good. People only reveal their characters when times are bad. We revealed ours by working, continuing to work when times were bad.
You should check his...
What character of Mr. Mallya was revealed?
track record. No, this is very...
I am not interested in previous track records because his previous track record is not going to encash in my
I don't agree because...
his previous track record because that has no bearing on the plight of the employees who were not paid for their work at Kingfisher Airlines. You know, the track record is something the banks might have looked into, but the employees don't care about the track record. Absolutely. And you know, you're talking about having had these really successful ventures earlier and his track record. Let me just tell you, once the airline was launched, it was still making no profit at all since its inception. What does he do? He goes on ordering new aircraft. 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, even up till 2008, Kingfisher Airlines was placing massive orders for new aircraft when they had already gone into the red.
That is what
Why was he going on borrowing public money and doing this when, as a very, very experienced businessman, he should have known this company was running into the ground?
Actually, what we are interested is not what happened in the past. What we are actually...
You have to blame his team. You should blame the bank. They should have checked it. No, you cannot blame Mallya alone. That's what I want to say. See, it is a team of people who are working under him. Because vicarious liability, he is responsible because he is the boss. He is the boss. But it is a team.
People have already gone to America.
The business failed. That is how you have to take it. You cannot accuse Mallya alone. That is my point.
Now, Mr. Rajshekar, what you are saying is a very tectonic shift. You are saying that there was a business failure and the business failure was caused not by anything but by external factors. But the fact of the matter today is that you must know that he has been charged for willful default, which means that he has the money and he has not repaid the bank. In simple terms, he has cheated the banks. Nobody has gone after him because there was a failure in his business. Two, today, you may also know an ECIR has been registered, which means, please listen, you may not know the law, please understand. Don't shake your head, please listen. That he has also laundered 300 crores of money from his company. Now listen, either you can deny it, of course you have every right and the due process of law will continue for another 20 years. But answer the question, whether has he done it or not. Please answer that question for Dr. Mallya, because you seem to have even extending a guarantee on behalf of Mallya. Answer a simple question, is he a willful defaulter or not? Has he laundered the money or not?
So while Mr. Rajshekharan, you might be thinking that everyone but Dr. Vijay Mallya is to blame for all the reasons mentioned by M.R. Venkatesh right now. One thing is quite clear. He wasn't just a babe in the woods being misled by everyone, including the banks, his team, his management. Here is a gentleman who owed some responsibility to the people who he had employed, and he continued to cheat and does so even now. We're heading into a very quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about the responsibility of the banks. It's something that Sujay Kantawala has brought up again and again, as so has Harish Bijur. We'll touch upon that in just a bit. Back in a couple of minutes.
Thanks very much for staying with us. We're now looking into the issue of just how the banks loaned thousands of crores to Kingfisher Airlines, to United Breweries. And I think Sujay Kantawala had brought up this point earlier. So let me come to you with this. There's such a stark difference in the way the banks treat a private individual as opposed to how they treat clearly these huge, companies. A layman asks today, when I struggle to get a car loan or a house loan, it's denied. If I don't pay my EMI, they come cracking down on me. That lay person does not understand how banks were willingly giving out 6,000 crores and much more to this company, which had not proved its profitability just yet.
When I give 1,000 rupees to my clerk, I said, beta hisab dega na iska. Even for 1,000 rupees, I ask, ke hisab dena. Now here in this case, you have hundreds and hundreds of crores being given to feed the risk appetite. And on what basis? There has to be a collateral which has to be encashable to recover this money. So therefore, I have been saying from day one that unless the bank officials, the executives who enjoyed all those privileges are made accountable and they are brought to book. And please invite some of these executives on your show. The entire nation needs to know on what basis this was given, and therefore they will be made accountable. Today they are all sitting in their houses and watching your show. What is the action taken against the bank officials? Thousands and thousands of crores are given. Did the first money come in? After that, did you verify where the money is going, how it is being channeled? That all needed to be seen. Where are those records available?
Absolutely.
The money laundering part, the ED has to look into it. The CBI had to tell 17 banks, please register a complaint. 17 banks did not do it. Your channel went again and again after. And thereafter, this has all happened. Thereafter, CBI had to register a case and they have taken action. That is why I am saying that look into the role of the banks.
We have unnamed bank officials who have been included in the cases that have been registered by the CBI. Yes, Neetu, go ahead.
Padmaja, I'd like to just interject and say one point. The first point is that a lot of money was given to Dr. Mallya on the brand value of Kingfisher Airlines, where even a lay person would know that the only time you would need to encash mortgages is when the person is not doing very well. And if a person doesn't do very well, then the brand value of the company would not be the same as when it was pledged as a collateral. So on what basis on an intangible asset was so much money given, where logically it doesn't make sense to give it on that intangible asset which is going to lose value. And secondly, the rich people in India are so blessed that when they default on money of 7,000 crores, they pull in other people who have defaulted on 40,000 crores as their defense. Whereas in yesterday's show, you showed how a farmer who took 65,000 rupees committed suicide because the banks were hounding him. So such is the disparity in India that Dr. Mallya is crying over 7,000 crores being a small amount, where the 7,000 crores...
Well, people in fact unfortunately have been forced to take their lives for less. That is the unfortunate story, because they could not repay a loan for as less as 10,000, 12,000 rupees. Harish, Biju, does this not tie up with the larger malaise? Because when the whole system is being worked by someone, if he thinks that he can pull the right strings, everyone just goes along, including the banks.
Absolutely. In fact, it's all about crony capitalism, and the needle of suspicion points totally at the banks and the machinery that governs the banks overall. If you really ask me, in this business parody, there are two types of people. There are two Goliaths and there are two Davids. The Goliaths are, of course, Dr. Vijay Mallya, who had very good intention in building the brand, and the second Goliath is actually the bank. Because to the bank, this is a drop off its back as far as I'm concerned. Vijay Mallya's outstanding to the bank is a subset of 2.46 lakh crores of rupees as on 31st March 2015, shown as NPAs of banks. And there's another number which says that the actual number could be 11 lakh crores of rupees. So, the two Goliaths are out there. And then there are the two Davids. My last point is about the Davids.
Just because you mentioned that, I want to just come to that point. Vijay Mallya has also talked about this in his statement which he's issued, where of course he says that it's a witch hunt against him, largely by the media. So he's talked about, all the other bad debts which amount to perhaps as much as 11 lakh crore debts that have been written off by these banks. And while we question the banks on that, that's no defense for him.
Absolutely. Padmanjali, let me tell you, I am not in sync with Dr. Vijay Mallya saying that, it's a drop in the ocean. But I hold it as a piece of argument when I talk about the banks. Because for the bank, it is a drop in the ocean. And listen, the banks are waking up now under a completely new dispensation, which is at the government at the center. What were the banks doing all this time? Until the CBI actually prompted them to wake up, the banks were sleeping. So there's a big, deep, long and torturous story within those banks, the employees of those banks, and what happened with money possibly, which is slush money as well. So I think that is an angle that needs to be probed,
despite all of this, despite finally the agency is moving, even now we have this whataboutery. What about the bigger defaulters? There are others who have done worse. Why are you going after me? This persists even now in the arguments that Dr. Mallya is giving.
If I look at Dr. Mallya's argument, I think his argument must really focus on how he is willing to pay the employees first.
Harish, just a second. I think Parag Tripathi had a point on this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think you're absolutely right. It is no defense for me to say that, well, I have black money in my house, but look at my neighbor, he has more black money than I have. So that is correct. That goes without saying. And that is no answer. But this 11 lakh crore or whatever 10 lakh crore raises another very important issue. Is this the way banks were doing business in India? And at a separate level, not linked with this case, at a separate level, this has to be gone into. Because the industrialists or people who utilize bank loans should know that this is not how business will be done from tomorrow. It appears from Dr. Mallya's example that there are a lot of people who have been beneficiaries of this benevolence of the bank at the cost of public money. So whereas it is no answer for him when it comes to recovering from him, but that's right. But there has to be some accountability to the banks, and the banks can't say that, well, I am now retired, I am no longer in the bank as an officer, so all is good and fine. Surely each of these individual acts would have had its actors in the bank, and surely I think those people should be, one must go after them as well. That doesn't mean don't proceed
absolutely,
against
because there are a lot of whispers, a lot of murmurs also about how kickbacks were given. Of course, that will be investigated in due course. Hemant Venkatesh quickly wants to come in on this.
As a chartered accountant, I can tell you, this 11 lakh crores or 2 lakh crores, whatever is the NPA out there, is basically the aggregate of bad governance caused by crony capitalism of the last 10-15 years. And I know for sure, whenever I audit some of these companies, I find that some of them don't have enough earnings to even pay the interest, forget the repay the principal. So what we are looking at is a huge systemic problem. And to address a systemic problem, you can either go about cleaning out the whole mess with a big broom, or make examples out of Dr. Mallya. Throw them behind bars. Ask them to resign from Rajya Sabha. Just a minute. Encash all their properties. Ensure that Money Laundering Act is put on all those people, including the bankers who have been party to the loot.
Absolutely.
And ensure that all these people are militant. And then see, the bank will automatically start functioning. Because banks function with 80 to 90 lakh crores of public deposits made by you and me.
To send the message that no one can get away, Captain Khalid.
Okay. The thing is that I'm not really in the favor of what Venkat has told, that Dr. Vijay Mallya should be put behind the bars, because surely in that case all the employees' money would be dead.
But Captain Khalid, no, I must ask you. I understand your sentiment.
I'm not looking for vengeance. I'm looking for money, and everybody is looking for money back.
What is it that is going to push him into enough of a corner to actually cough up that money?
No,
if this threat of going to jail is not there, what is going to make him cough up that money which he hasn't done in years?
Don't mistake me. Don't mistake me, Mr. Khalid. You have lost money as an employee. I have lost money as a depositor with bank. We both are co-victims. We both are co-victims. Law must ensure that we make examples out of these people, and the next person will not be made to suffer. I do not have any answer to you for what the dues are. But at least let us look at the systemic cleansing.
Closing comments from Neetu also. Captain Khalid, just closing comments from Neetu also, please. We need to start winding up.
Tomorrow. I think women must close it.
What I would like to say is what Captain Khalid has said has just aired what is the desperation of the employees of Kingfisher Airlines, where they are not even vindictive. All they want is their money, because what will happen eventually is the banks will get what they are due. The creditors will get what they are due, but the employees may not be able to go to court and fight for their money. And if they don't, then they just don't simply get the money, and that means every employer knows how far he can push the envelope.
We don't even know what address to send our claims to. We don't know where to send the letters to. There is not even a letter box that I can post, and I know that it has reached there.
No, absolutely. Your desperation and your concerns at this point are completely understandable.
The employee comes first.
Absolutely. I think that's the perfect way to sum it up, because even as this fight continues between the consortium of banks and Dr. Vijay Mallya, it seems that the employees are being forgotten in the process, and they should
tomorrow morning
and
ensure that Dr. Vijay Mallya is not allowed inside the Rajya Sabha till he clears at least the dues of the employees. That is what the Rajya Sabha owes to the employees.
The DRT make themselves a party and take a court order that they should be paid from this $75 million which has been frozen.
Okay, so several aspects to this. Will the Rajya Sabha really respond to how one of their own is now being accused of cheating his own employees? But more importantly, the employees always have to remain the face of the story. They should come first and get back their dues, get back their money. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on debate number 1. Thank you also to Captain Khalid, especially, and Neetu, both former employees of Kingfisher Airlines. Thanks very much.